And good morning at 7:04 on this Tuesday, June 20th. It's time to head to Studio B for Coleman and Company.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. We welcome you. We welcome the rain this morning. It's been dry, and we are getting a little rain here in the Cedar City. We're on the air, of course, for Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital, and Tracy Pope is with us this morning. Tracy is the Director of Community Relations for Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. Good morning.
Good morning, Coleman.
And how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. It is nice to see the rain out this morning.
And you have a special guest this morning. You brought another medical professional, as you usually do.
I do. But before we get started, I would like to give a plug for our upcoming sports conference that is a treatment of sideline emergencies and sports injuries. That's going to be on Saturday, July the 29th at Lebanon High School. Dr. Lance LeClaire, Dr. Alex Diamond, Dr. Patel, Sean Patel, and many others will be hosting this along with our athletic trainers that we supply in all the Wilson County schools. We're really excited to do this again. We had our first sports conference last year. Dr. LeClaire led that. Vanderbilt has been doing a sports conference in Nashville for many years, and he wanted to bring one to Wilson County, and this is free. So it's free to anyone. It's a primer for parents, coaches, and medical professionals. We'll talk about emergency action plans, heat injuries, concussions, what to do in an emergency with your youth and your child in a sports-related injury before the medical professionals arise. So please join us. You can register in many ways. We have an event page, an Eventbrite page where you can register. And like I said, it is free on Saturday, July the 29th, at 8 a.m. at Lebanon High School.
But you do need to register.
Well, you do. I mean, people can attend that do not register, but we just kind of want to know a head count. We'll have some healthy snacks that morning. We need to make sure we have enough people to host, the event. But we would
to properly plan. Please register.
Correct. Yes. Correct. Thank you.
And it's about a month, less than a month and a half away.
Yeah.
But Saturday, July 29th. Be here before you know it.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. And like you said, we have a fantastic medical professional with us this morning. It's Dr. Waleed Khalaf. He is our medical director for the Regional Network Cancer Care with the Vanderbilt Ingram Cancer Center.
Well, Dr. Khalif, we welcome you to our program.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And it's a privilege and honor being with you here and with Tracy and your listeners. Thank
we
you.
want to know, actually it says here, tell us a little about yourself. We want to know a lot about you.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So I took a little bit of an unusual journey coming here. I grew up overseas. I'm originally Palestinian, and I grew up in a city right outside of Jerusalem. And then I moved here when I was 17 years old after high school. Came here to study medicine, to pursue a dream of becoming a doctor. And I came from there to a small town in Indiana. Did my undergraduate there, and then medical school at IU in Indiana. And then from there, came here to Vanderbilt. I've been here for almost 17 years now in Middle Tennessee.
Okay.
So,
Well, I'm wondering, at 17, you must have been, you were not a young 17, I would think, to be that desirous to come here and all that it involves. That would have been an experience in and of itself.
That was quite an experience. Of course, I moved here on my own. My family were still back home. But I came determined and in pursuit of a dream. And of course, what better place to do that than the United States, right? It is the land of opportunity. And so I did that. It was very hard at first, of course, but I did that. And the community in Indiana where I was adopted me, really.
Did you know English fairly well?
I could read and write English, but I didn't understand it. And of course, coming here, I would sit in lectures, but I wouldn't understand much, honestly. And, you get used to a certain accent, of course, and then you get a lecturer with a slightly different accent. And for me, that was an entirely foreign language. And so it took me a long time to get used to that.
Well, we're glad you made it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
What you started there, then what happened?
And then, of course, I did medical school at Indiana, and I also did a PhD. I was on a track of wanting to do research, specifically cancer research. And then I came to Vanderbilt, did residency training here in internal medicine, and then fellowship, of course, in oncology. And my interest shifted a little bit. I wanted to do clinical research. I wanted to be a researcher in a big academic center, of course, and I felt that was the best way I could serve my patients. But then when I started seeing patients, when I started interacting with patients, my passion was really in clinic, and mostly in communities where patients live. And so I gravitated towards smaller community clinics where patients live. And I've been doing 100% clinical work since then.
Well, you came to Vanderbilt, but now why specifically Wilson County?
Well, since finishing fellowship, my clinical practice has been mostly outside of Nashville. I have a practice in Franklin. We opened a practice in Springfield and in Spring Hill as well. And so my passion really has been practicing in the community where patients live. There's something to say about delivering quality, comprehensive care in the community. Yes, of course, that's available in Nashville and downtown, but it's hard going to Nashville, if you've noticed. I mean, just coming here this morning in the rain and the traffic, it's very hard. And so we've been doing that more and more, shifting the care model to where patients, closer to where patients live. And that's really the future of medicine. I mean, right now, people, they seek care at home, right? You're able to get care virtually at home. Mm-hmm. And so the care is shifting closer and closer to where patients live. And we've been doing that. And that's really my passion is, and that's where I fit, is trying to serve people where they live. And Wilson County has been a wonderful community for us, honestly. They've really welcomed us here ever since Vanderbilt acquired the hospital a number of years ago. That was sort of the first service line we've opened here. And it's been a privilege and an honor being here.
And ultimately, that is Vanderbilt's vision, just like Dr. Koloff said, bringing excellent care closer to home. Vanderbilt, we talk about this many times, Vanderbilt stays at over 100% capacity downtown, and they don't want more patients to be coming into Nashville. And that's what's so wonderful about Wilson County. We are so geographically close to Nashville and Davidson County that we're able to attract incredible physicians like Dr. Koloff that live around the area, but then can travel to the community areas to bring that excellent care.
Well, let's talk about what a medical oncologist does. Yeah. What do you do?
So I am a part of a team, of course. That's important to make clear, because cancer care is really delivered through a team approach, and I'm just a small part of that team. I'm a medical oncologist, and so I give systemic treatments for cancer patients. So, we're talking about chemotherapy, immunotherapy, more newer targeted therapies, experimental approaches. That's as opposed to a radiation oncologist that treats cancer through radiation therapy. And of course, a surgical oncologist would be talking about surgery. And so a medical oncologist is the sort of, I view it as the captain of the ship that's delivering and maneuvering the patients through their different care steps in cancer care, between surgery, radiation, and what we do with chemotherapy and immunotherapy.
What are some of the things about being a medical oncologist at Vanderbilt that you enjoy the most?
Well, I love what I do, of course. I've always enjoyed that. Just in general, being an oncologist, you get to be with your patient. You get to know your patients very well. That's what I like about what I do the most, is that you see and meet patients at their most vulnerable time. I mean, imagine being told you have cancer, right? That's the most vulnerable time, and I get to be with that patient from the beginning of their journey the end. Hopefully, being a survival at the end, of course. But being at Vanderbilt is special because it's one of the largest academic institutions, of course. We have a lot of highly specialized care. We have comprehensive care, and we're bringing that comprehensive care here. That's the whole model that we're doing here. But at the same time, we have access to all the highly specialized different therapeutics, different people at Vanderbilt that do certain research in certain areas. We have access to all of them. So we have the backing of that in the care that we deliver here.
All right, time for us to take a break. Our program presented by Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital, and this is Coleman and Company, 98.9.
And let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to our friends at Bates Ford, and get a regular oil change, $39.95, up to 5 quarts oil, tax and disposal, 1673 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Traffic still running a little bit heavy through Wilson County right now as they finish up an accident. A little bit of rubbernecking going on, 40 westbound near Hartman there in Lebanon. Again, I can see a delay up through there at the moment. 24's on the increase coming out of Rutherford County, leaving Murfreesboro through Antioch. There's a couple of wrecks around town. Bell Road at Dobson Chapel. That was a one-car wreck. That one had some injuries at Lights Creek Pike at OHB. They're still over there trying to clean up that mess. Nash Painting, they service all of Middle Tennessee. Check them out online today, nashpainting.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Renewal happens here at Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing. Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing has experienced new leadership and a new atmosphere. Same location in the heart of Lebanon, 731 Castle Heights Court on the Castle Heights campus. Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing is providing 5-star clinical outcomes to short-term and long-term care residents. Call 615-444-4319 for a tour and to experience the new culture. Renewal happens here at Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing.
The refreshing cool after coming in from a hot summer day. The perfect temperature to kick off your shoes and relax with a good book. When the weather heats up, a new Rheem AC system will surround your family in total comfort. Are you feeling it? Rheem, the new degree of comfort.
Financing available through TVA's Energy Right program and your local power company. Call Randy's Heat and Air 237-3604.
Rheem, the new degree of comfort.
Coleman and Company, our program presented by Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital, and the name introduced my guest this morning. As usual on this particular Tuesday, Tracy Pope is here, the Director of Community Relations for Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital, and we are very pleased to have with us Dr. Waleed Khalaf, Vanderbilt Department of Medical Oncology. And we asked you earlier, Doctor, to tell us a little bit about yourself. You didn't mention your wife and family, so if you will, tell us a little bit about her and them.
Thank you so much, and that's very important, obviously. I'm blessed to, my beautiful wife, Nicole, and we're blessed to have 2 kids. My son is 13 years old, and my daughter is 8. And they ground me, of course. What we do is very difficult, and coming home to them is truly a blessing. They're very different. My son is very much into sports and athletics, and my daughter is a princess. She loves dance and perform. If you ask her what she wants to do, she will tell you she wants to be a performer, a singer, or a dancer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and she has the talent for that.
Well, she is ambitious, to say the least.
And she's in the right place for that.
Well, so much of your life is involved in being an oncologist, and as you, I thought, expressed so very well your concern and how that you have to, I guess, many times tell a person that you're diagnosing them with cancer, which nobody wants to hear. And as you said, you stay with them, hopefully to have to get over it, to survive it. But everybody doesn't. You have to deal with all of that, don't you?
For sure. And, that journey is a special journey for the patient. It's a privilege to share that with the patient and their families. And I value that as a big part of what I do. And that's very special to me. And yes, we take the patients through their journey, hopefully to survivorship. But a lot of people don't make it, like you said. And think a big part of my job is moving patients through that journey, possibly to the end of their life, and helping them achieve that peacefully. And I value that tremendously as part of my job. It's not just giving people chemotherapy and focusing on the disease. We and all my colleagues try to focus on the patient as a whole. And if we know that the treatments are not working or the disease is advanced and they're not going to make it, then our job shifts to helping that patient and their family achieve peace, knowing that they're close to the end of their life.
You deal with many children who have cancer.
Mm-hmm. Children.
Yes.
I treat mostly adults.
Okay.
Earlier in my career, I thought I wanted to be a pediatric oncologist. I actually worked at St. Jude for a number of months, but that was very difficult, and I could not deal with that. And so I shifted to treating adults. Although children are very resilient and they do well with cancer treatment, but it was too hard for me to see.
I think we've come a long way in the treatment of cancer, and especially in the chemotherapy. How long actually have you been doing this? Approximate number of years.
So I've been doing this a long time, including my research years, almost 15 years. And
I just wondered the improvements, the progress that's been made since you began.
And this is a wonderful time for the field, honestly, and for our patients. The last 10, 15 years, I think things have changed, and we have newer and newer, very exciting treatments. The era of giving toxins, the era of giving chemotherapy to treat cancer and cure cancer, hopefully is shifting. And now we're utilizing non-chemotherapy approaches more and more. So we use what's called immunotherapy, which is using somebody's own immune system. We target and manipulate the immune system in a way that immune system fights cancer. And that changed the way we treat cancer, changed outcomes tremendously. And that's been very exciting to see. Honestly, I have patients who really should not be here if it wasn't for immunotherapy. And, they had this advanced stage 4 cancer, and now they're cancer-free on immunotherapy. So it's been wonderful to see that. We also have newer targeted therapy, more personalized treatments that we try to look at certain features of the cancer in a patient and target the cancer in that patient. Cancer is very heterogeneous. It's very different from one person to another. And we now study that cancer, the features of that cancer at the molecular level in that individual, and try to target the cancer in that individual. And so that is also a very exciting advancement in the field.
So you are still to some degree involved in research then?
I am. We are, of course, we have access to clinical research. I don't do lab research anymore, but we're all involved in clinical research in terms of having trials, newer experimental approaches at Vanderbilt, and we have access to that for our patients, obviously.
Well, is there any more you could tell us about the care and treatment plans within your patient population?
I just want to highlight that what we do here in Wilson County, that's really been my mission and our mission at the Vanderbilt Ingram Cancer Center, is to make sure that the quality and the comprehensive nature of the care that we deliver at Vanderbilt in Nashville is the same quality in all of our network sites. That's really our mission. We want our patients that live in Wilson County to receive the same high quality, the most advanced comprehensive care that they may receive if they go to Nashville. And I think we've achieved that.
Well, Dr. Khalaf, we've heard some kind of horror stories about chemotherapy in the past, and I think I've heard that maybe most people have a better experience now than maybe they did, say, 10 to 15 years ago.
Yeah. It's very true. I mean, we have much better supportive care. The idea of people hunched over a toilet, throwing up after chemotherapy. That honestly doesn't happen that much. If it happens, we're probably not doing a good job in supportive care for that patient. My favorite interaction with patients after they receive their first cycle, and I always ask of chemotherapy, and I always ask them, so is it better or worse than you expected? And almost always, they always tell me it's better than I expected because we've made those advances. And you know, people get pre-medications before their infusions to prevent nausea, to prevent vomiting, to prevent other things, other reactions. And a lot of my patients are able to receive treatments and still go to work, still do the daily things that they need to do. And that's been really good to see.
Is there one particular kind of cancer or one particular part of the body that you deal with more frequently maybe than others? The most common type of cancer you deal with?
Yeah, I mean, I see, of course, just because of the incidence of cancers, the more I see all cancers, and I treat all cancers. But of course, you know, lung cancer, breast cancer, colon cancer, prostate cancer, the more common. I have a personal interest in blood type cancers. That's just my interest because I did research in that. But I treat all kinds of cancer. Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, speaking of lung and colon, breast, it's a good time to remind our listeners that screening is very, very important. Finding cancer at later stages is very, very different and very different outcomes than detecting it early. So early detection is key. We have now fantastic screening methods for colon cancer. Now, of course, the age of screening is 45, down from 50. For breast cancer, of course, mammograms. For lung cancers now, people who are smokers, now we do annual chest CT scan to screen for lung cancer, and that changed the outcomes of mortality for lung cancer tremendously. So it's important for our patients who fit that criteria to get that screening appropriately.
Do you see things improving still, getting better as we go along?
Yes, I do. I see better screening strategies, like we said. I see better treatments. I think the outcomes have been improving steadily over the years. There are still highly challengeable cancers that are still very difficult to treat with still bad outcomes, of course, but that's changing, and it's exciting in the field.
And you did mention early detection. Early detection is the best. You like to catch somebody in the early stages rather than have to deal with the late.
100%. And you know, if you're able to detect it early, you're able to act, of course, and hopefully cure that patient. And then that's really the ultimate goal, is to cure that patient. But if we're not able to, we are now, you know, with the improvement in therapies, we're able to treat cancer really as a chronic medical illness. People have high blood pressure and diabetes, you know, for years. And, you know, we view cancer the same way, where we're able to treat patients. They're able to maintain their quality of life for a number of years and live with cancer rather than die from cancer.
Well, we've got a couple of minutes left here this morning.
Yeah, Coleman, and we've talked a lot about the unique aspects of Vanderbilt Ingram Cancer Center here in Wilson County. We've talked about the team approach, the patient-centered care, the comprehensive care. Tell us a little bit about the specialized tumor boards that you are part of.
That's right. I mean, we have access to, of course, and we have our own tumor board here in Wilson County, but if I see a patient with lung cancer, for example, I have access to the lung cancer tumor board at Vanderbilt. And so we present our cases to that specialized tumor board and get a consensus recommendation about the treatment. So we have multiple specialists sitting in those tumor boards, surgeons, radiation oncologists, pathologists, medical oncologists, of course. And we get a consensus approach to treatment unique to that patient. And that's very important in terms of making sure that we deliver the same care here, of course, just like we do in Nashville, but it's the most advanced care. It's the most advanced care that's driven by data, driven by research, And of course, we have access to those people, our own people at Vanderbilt, that provide that.
Well, it's been an interesting conversation this morning, to say the least, and I'm impressed with your dedication and how much you're concerned about all that you do.
And, people come from all over the nation, all over the Southeast to come to Vanderbilt for specialized care. And we are so fortunate that Vanderbilt purchased our hospital almost 4 years ago, and that we are able to provide these types of services. Just like Dr. Kaloff was talking about, when you get a cancer diagnosis, it's not planned. It is not planned, and you seek out the best care possible.
And I just want to say that we are very proud about what we built here in Wilson County. We really are becoming a hub here in Wilson County. Our hospital, our cancer center, is becoming a hub for patients from the surrounding counties. We see people from Cookeville, from East Tennessee, that come to Lebanon to get their care. And so we're very proud of that, and that's great for the community here, of course.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it very much. Dr. Wateed Kaloff, Vanderbilt Department of Medical Oncology, along with Tracy Pope, and thank you, Tracy. And that is part one of Coleman and Company. We hope you'll keep it here for more FM 98.9.
And let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to our friends at Absolute Kubota, high performance, high horsepower, 0% financing is still a thing. Now is the best time to save on Kubota L-Series tractors, rated #1 for durability and owner experience in the U.S. Absolute Kubota, 1506 West Main. Now in traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Still running slow, but not as bad as it was earlier. Out in Lebanon, Wilson County on 40 westbound there at Hartman as they clean up that earlier wreck. It's really just now starting to build on I-24 as you make your way westbound up to the Hickory Hollow area. Coming in right now from Rutherford County, traffic's on the increase down 65 through Millersville, trying to wrap up the paperwork on the wreck at Whites Creek Pike and OHB. Hey, it's time to call Crest Pest Control. These guys do way more than the average pest control company in Middle Tennessee. They're online right now at crestpestcontrol.net. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome to Hearthside Senior Living, Lebanon's unique senior living community designed for seniors to age in place, all within a safe, comfortable, and Christian environment. Beautiful retirement homes designed for an independent lifestyle with maintenance-free living. Hearthside Senior Living also continues the excellent tradition of assisted living for those seniors who need additional services. Hearthside Senior Living, an independent retirement community and assisted living community, all on one campus in the heart of Lebanon. Call 615-443-1994 for a tour.
A warm and dry day ahead for us, but the humidity will be staying on the lower side. Temperatures climbing through the 60s this morning, looking for a high of 79 in the afternoon. We will fall into the low 50s tonight, then bounce back for a high of 86 tomorrow. This weather forecast is brought to you by Walker Auction and Realty, professional auction and real estate services. Get top dollar for your home, land, or personal property. Log on to MikeWalkerAuctions.com. They know auctions. That's a look at your forecast. I'm number one Ned.
Coleman and Company, welcome to part two here on a Tuesday morning. John Dozier has joined us to talk about Hearthside Senior Living, but is it still raining out there?
It is, Coleman.
Well, we need the rain. I'm thankful.
I am too. We planted several $1,000 worth of landscaping at Hearthside that we had to replace, and I'm glad to see it raining. We also have a community garden that Cindy Huffines keeps going for us, and it needed a little bit of rain today.
Well, Hearthside Senior Living, retirement assisted living community at 215 Castle Heights North, Castle Heights Avenue North here in Lebanon. John Dozier, of course, Executive Director, and he comes here each Tuesday to tell us what's going on. Always good to see you.
Well, it's always good to see you, and it's always good to talk about Hearthside. And, we talk about tours. I mentioned many times that I think it's best just to surprise people when you want to visit a community, just to see what really goes on there. And we had one of those yesterday about 4 o'clock. A wonderful lady who sold her home out on 109 came by and just said, "Hey, by August 15th, I need a place to stay." And her sister came with her from Joelton, and they toured. And I like that because I wasn't expecting them, and we provided a great tour. We showed them different options, and several of the residents were out in the foyer and getting ready for dinner. And so it was a it's great to see when you just kind of show up and see what's going on. That way, you know, people can't prepare, and you really get to see what's going on. So they came, and we told them about there's no community fee. You know, there's no move-in fee, which really surprised them. There's no extra hidden charges in our prices, and for one price, you get 3 meals a day, you get room and board, you get a 24/7 care, you get a call light button, you get snacks, you get activities, housekeeping, laundry, Wi-Fi, all that for one price. And they were like, well, is there any extra charges? And they kept asking that question. I said, there's no extra charges. It's all in one price. And by the end of the tour, they were like, just sign me up. You know, when can I move in? Well, we don't have any rooms right now, but hopefully by August 15th, when she has to move out of her house, we'll maybe can get her in there. But people appreciate that. Coleman, you know, I've often said
Well,
that.
what you're really saying here, there's one price. You pay this price to stay here each month.
That's right.
And that's it.
That's it.
Well,
And,
that doesn't get any better.
And there's no community fee. You know, a lot of communities charge move-in fees, which I understand why they do it, but we're able to keep our costs low. We try to manage our costs so we can keep those costs low. And we have a waiting list for our assisted living now. For a couple of years there we didn't, but now we do, and that's a great sign. That's a great sign. We have a tour today at 10 o'clock. That one's planned. So again, we'll go through those same. Actually, this is her second time to tour, and she may stay for lunch. We encourage that if they want to stay for lunch or visit one of our activities. That way they get to know the community before they move in.
Well, there's just a lot of good things we can say about Hearthside, and I've thought for a long time that just the fact that it's locally owned and managed means a lot.
Well, the reason we are able to offer those lower prices is we don't have to send a check to Oregon, or we don't have to send a check to New York, and we don't have to satisfy some corporation across the country, and we're able to keep costs low because we can manage costs. You know, managing costs are getting harder and harder with the inflation, but hopefully that's maybe settled down. And we haven't gone up on our rates in a very long time. We easily could with that waiting list. We could easily go up, but we don't plan to. We try to keep costs reasonable, and that benefits everybody in the long run.
Well, you've been here since 1994, of course, and you haven't been the executive director all that time, but I think you've found your niche in our community.
I believe I have.
You love what you're doing.
I love what I'm doing. I love the residents, and I love working with the residents. I spent some time last week with our independent living folks, and man, they're just a joy to be around. They're like, I used to say they're like my grandparents. Now they're like my parents, So I've gotten older myself, and I spend a lot of time with them, and they're just a great group of folks. And most of our folks in our assisted living are local people, and the stories that they tell and the memories that they share with me is just worthwhile. We had a lady that, I'll say her name, Miss Clinton. She had a medical issue, and she went out to rehab, and she was gone for about 6 weeks, and to see her back yesterday was a real treat. So that's always, they become like family to you, and I love them.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that, and I think they love you too. No doubt you treat them right, they appreciate it.
Well, one of the things we do offer, we talk about the pricing, and that's a big deal to people, but Coleman, at the end of the day, it's about communicating with the families and residents. It's about caring for them, and it's about that extra compassion. Probably every community has compassion, but I believe Hearthside has a little extra that we share with our residents and families.
Are you ready for Hearthside?
Yes, I am. I told Tanya Jones, she, of course, is the mayor's new assistant. I told her I'd give her a Hearthside hello, and if you see her there on the second floor of City Hall, tell her I gave her a Hearthside hello. And I meant to mention this. Ada Midget, your number one fan of the show, she told me she listened to you and Judge Tatum on Talking with Tatum on the cable channel, and she listened to several shows, and if I didn't mention that, she'll get on to me. So she said y'all did a great job, and she enjoyed listening to y'all.
Well, speaking of Judge Tatum, he was on special assignment yesterday. He went to the Ark up there in Kentucky, took his grandson, and then went to see the Cincinnati Reds win the 9th in a row, I think, last night.
That's great.
Ball game.
Well, I hope they had a great time.
And Votto came back and hit a home run and knocked in the winning run for the Reds.
He saw it all.
Yes.
Well, good for him. Good for him. Well, I hope he had a great time.
Well, thanks for being with us. We've got Mike Jennings waiting in the wings.
Okay, Mike, hope you have a great week. Is he on the phone right now? Can I say hello to him?
Well, okay, let's, Mike, just turned you on, and good morning to you.
Good morning, Coleman. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Sean wants
I just
tell
wanted to
you
say hello to you. You know, I always say hello to you before I leave. So hope you have a great week.
That's right. Yeah.
All
Good
right.
to talk to you.
Hardside Senior Living, Sean Dozier, Executive Director, and their phone number is 615-443-1994. 21 before the hour, and I am introducing Mike Jennings, our county attorney, who is on some kind of assignment, but has found time to call in this morning for his regular appearance on Coleman and Company. Again, good morning.
Good morning. Glad to do it, Coleman. I always look forward to it.
Well, I know you're a little bit happier this morning because of the outcome of the ball game yesterday involving the Tennessee Vols.
Yeah, yes, sir. We, survived in advance. And I was over there Saturday night, and they were pretty rough on us. We waited too late to get started. Of course, their pitcher had a lot to do with that. And but yesterday, it looked like we were going down the same path, and then all of a sudden, we started hitting the ball, which is what you got to do. Our pitching didn't let us down. It's been our hitting. So. Yeah,
I saw a Facebook article or two you had, and you were pretty critical of the hitting.
Yeah, and really what made me mad was all the people getting on there criticizing the pitching and the coaching. You know, you got a guy pitching that's going to be a top 15 draft pick here in about 3 weeks. And they were criticizing the pitching, and I said, you know, if you don't score any runs, a zero doesn't win anything.
You do have to have a little offense, don't you?
And you do. And we finally came alive, and the amazing thing was the first 12 hits we had were singles, because we usually hitting it over the fence or bouncing it off the fence. And so hopefully that'll continue today. We get another shot at LSU tonight, I guess.
Yeah, that's interesting. The way this is set up, you have 4 teams that you dwindle down to 1, and you do that on both sides of the bracket, and then those 2 will play the best 2 out of 3 for the championship. But if you win that first game, it gives you a decided advantage, I think.
It does. And, it worked just the opposite in our regional because we lost the first game.
Yep.
And playing away, but we were able to come back. You don't want to lose that first game. We didn't want to lose Saturday night because you get in that losers bracket. We got to play 4 games in 4 days just to get to the championship.
It's possible you'd have to play. It's Wake Forest, isn't it, in the driver's seat?
Yeah, it'd be Wake Forest tomorrow night, and then if we win, and then we would have to beat them twice.
Right.
Have to beat them tonight, turn around and play Thursday afternoon. So
it's well, you got a tall order ahead of you, but I'll be honest. When I got the word that you were going to be calling in this morning, I already said, "Well, he must be in Omaha."
No, I went Saturday night, but I had committed to a conference several months ago. And so it's kind of tough to watch it on TV knowing you've been there, but it was maybe I need to stay away. When I was there, they lost, and I did have one of my friends text me and said, just stay away.
Well, you have any plans to go if they make it to the finals?
If they get back Saturday, we'll go up and stay, those 3 days, hopefully, or 2 days, but they got a tall hill to climb. I hadn't made any arrangements yet, so don't have to see more than what I've seen so far.
Well, they've done well. Wake looks awfully good to me, but we'll see. We better talk about last night. I understand. I think I heard this that you were doing a Zoom thing for the county commission meeting last night.
I did, and I don't know how well it worked out on their end, but on my end, I could hear everything and until the last, and some type of breakdown there. But we did join 2 committee meetings that way, and everything worked out okay. Don't want to do that very often. That was my first. And Coleman, you and I are just from a different generation on this Zoom thing. My 8-year-old grandson can handle it like you and I drive a car, but for me, it's a challenge.
Well, I know what you're saying, and you're probably better at it than I am. But at least you survived it, and I guess the meeting went okay.
It did. As far as I know, it was a relatively short meeting, and it was the grand finale of this fiscal year, and then sort of the kickoff for next fiscal year. So always good to get that budget under your belt, and they did that last night with no tax increase, and looks like funding the things that have to be funded. As we've talked about before, you never have enough money to do everything you want, but you most of the time have enough money to do what you need, and that seems to be what worked out last night.
Well, Mayor Hutto discussed this with us yesterday. We went over it a little bit and kind of how we arrived at it in the committee process, and the fact that we don't have to have two readings. Most of I think all our municipalities have to have two readings on the budget before it becomes final. But with our committee process and so on, as he explained it, we just have the one. And so we had that last night, and it passed. Was it unanimous or close to unanimous?
Yes, it was unanimous. From what I've told, I actually missed the vote, and that made me a little nervous because I thought there may be some discussion going on. My Zoom cut out. My understanding was 24-4 and one absent. So on that and the tax rate. So. Well,
A lot of work does go into that, no doubt, and I think we have some dedicated people, and they even our directors and those that prepare budgets for their departments and so on, they know pretty much what to expect, and I think kind of know what to ask for, and they can read the tea leaves, so to speak, and so sometimes I think you do ask for a little more than you expect to get, and that's what you usually wind up with.
Yeah, our people are very, and I say this across the board, our people are very good, and they will come in and maybe ask for more than they expect to get, but they know what they can cut out and still adequately and necessarily fund their departments. It may be like you go on the car lot and you look at the most expensive thing there, and then you settle about mid-size or whatever, and they understand that. But it's difficult, Coleman. We've talked about this before. You're setting a budget for the next year, and a year that hadn't even started, and it's hard to predict what's going to happen over the next 12 months.
Well, we
individual department.
think we tend to lower our revenue estimate a little bit. We don't try to spend every penny that we think's coming in, and maybe even estimate it a little bit on the low end, and then try to not go overboard in spending. And if we can do that, we usually come out pretty well.
And it's a formula for success. If you budget conservatively and then maybe budget a little bit more than what you expect to spend, and at the end of the year, you've got some leftover to carry over into the next year.
Yeah. All right, Mike, time for us to take a break. Mike Jennings, our county attorney, is with us, and we'll talk more after this break on Coleman & Company, FM 98.9.
And let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to Bates Ford and the Works Vehicle Checkup. They'll make sure your vehicle is ready for any road. $59.95 up to 5 quarts oil, tax and disposal, tire rotation and safety check. 1673 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. It's finally moving a little bit better than it was out in the Lebanon area, Wilson County on 40 westbound at Hartman. Traffic still not too bad, really, coming down through Millersville. It has increased just a bit. 65 southbound into Goodlettsville, coming up from Brentwood, Franklin, all positive right now on 65 from Williamson County up into South Nashville. Hey, Nash Painting, they service all of Middle Tennessee. Check out their website today at nashpainting.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
At Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital, world-class care is a heartbeat away. In fact, we offer the same world-class attention Middle Tennessee has come to rely on from a Vanderbilt Health Hospital. Supported by over 200 specialties, an expanded emergency department staffed with Vanderbilt Health physicians 24/7, and greater investments in life-saving technologies and care. It's just one more way we're making healthcare personal.
What is your passion? How can you use that passion to enrich your community? Hi, this is Melanie Minter, President and CEO of the Lebanon Wilson County Chamber of Commerce. Your chamber is the resource for making connections to fulfill your passion. Whether education, nonprofit, agriculture, entertainment, or government relations, Wilson County offers a place for you to be involved. Your chamber connects businesses, individuals, and your passion to the community. We have an enthusiasm for excellence. Join us and catch the spirit. Call or visit our office at 149 Public Square in Lebanon.
we continue here on this Tuesday morning. Thanks for joining us. We're thankful for the rain that's falling, and I am talking with Mike Jennings. Mike is really on a special assignment, but is called in this morning to do his usual report, and did make the county commission meeting by Zoom last night. But I guess the real big thing we've already discussed here, and there's not a lot of need to further discuss the fact that the budget for the next fiscal year was passed last night, and overwhelmingly, and so we're pretty much set. And one thing we could talk about, Mike, it was usually in August when this was finalized, and we'd do it with enough time to present it to the state to get their approval of whatever is required there, and be all ready to go September 1st, which is all that was required, as I understand. But in the last year or two, we've been doing this earlier. Talk about that.
Well, actually, the last few years, Coleman, the comptroller's office began to push really hard for people to get their budgets done by June 30. By the end of the fiscal year, and that works out well. It presents some challenges because your next year's budget is usually based on your last year's budget revenue and spending, and when you get serious down to the committee meetings and the commission meeting, you don't have all the numbers for this year. So it's more of an estimate than usual, but it works out well. And it's a good thing you get it done. And our finance director, our county mayor, and our department heads, county committee chairman, all of them are committed to that. And they start scheduling their meetings, and they happen at a time when, there's a lot of baseball and kids sports and stuff going on, and it's a challenge. But you get it done, and now you can kind of enjoy the rest of the summer, barring emergencies. And so it's worked out well. Yes, it used to be, I can remember us getting a budget as late as August 29. And that's usually when there's not enough money to go around and you're having to make some tough decisions. But we had no tax increase, hadn't had a tax increase in several years. That makes it easier. And as I understand it from Jeff Luckwell and the folks at the school system, they are funding some pretty nice increases for our teachers out of funds that they have in their budget. So budgets are never easy, but things seem to fall into place a little better this year.
All right, Mike, let me ask you this. I talked to Mayor Hutto yesterday, and I just flat out asked him, are you pleased with this? Do you? And he said yes. He thought we had a good budget. What you attend a lot of these meetings? I mean, people as county attorney, people confide in you and ask questions and so on. I don't know just exactly how much input you might have into the actual budget, but you've got You no doubt have an idea about this. So how do you feel about this budget?
I think it's a good budget. I think it's a good, solid budget. It provides raises for employees. It provides raises for teachers. And that's not everything, Coleman. I don't want anybody sitting out there to think, well, all he's worried about is money. And I've said this for years. I say it jokingly, but it's the truth. You don't have an ambulance or a dump truck or a police car or anything that drives itself. You've got to have people to operate that, and to have people, you've got to pay them competitively, especially that we've seen that since COVID. So I don't know what exactly all the factors that went into that, but once we kind of came out of that period there, private industry was paying more, and now county governments and city governments have to be competitive. And one of the things that is great for Wilson County as a whole, but it's tough in other ways, is that we have such a very low unemployment rate. So everyone, including governments, are competing for the same people, and you got to pay them. And this budget does that. It helps. Does it pay everybody everything they want? No. But it's certainly an improvement, and I join the mayor in saying that this is a good budget, I think.
I want to ask something else here, because here again, you're in tune with the county commission, and you probably know every one of them and have dialogue with every one of them, if not every month, several times during a calendar year, fiscal year. What kind of marks do you give this? They've been together since last September, so I guess this would have been their 10th meeting last night, I guess. And what do you make of this current commission?
A good commission. The last commission was a good commission. This one has carried right on. We have a good mix of, I'll call them veterans. Don't mean in the military sense of the word. I mean in the service and government time, and a good mix of new folks. And one of the challenges I've noticed in my 34 years, and I say this very respectfully, is sometimes a new person or the new folks come in and say, they're going to change the world. We've not been doing things right. You see it on the school board, you see it on county commission, see it on city council. They're going to come in and going to change the world. And then they realize after about 90 days, it's a process. And I say this jokingly, but it's kind of like, making sausage. It may not be pretty, but you get a finished product. and it works the way we do things. The committee system works. The school director and the school board do their part. And when you have everybody in tune, it makes it a lot easier. Coleman, you can remember, you've been doing your show a long time, but you can remember times or years when the school system and the county commission were at odds.
Yes.
And that makes it very, very difficult to get a budget. But everybody is pulling the wagon in the same direction, and that works out well. I do think, I've said a lot here, hope I hadn't rambled too much, but I do think that this is a good budget, and it'll serve the citizens of our county well. And I hope they're happy that there's no tax increase, no property tax increase.
Well, I think it's really good when you can come and reason together. It says, well, actually, as the scripture says, "Come and let us reason together." And I think that's great. You can. There are times when something somebody feels very strongly a certain way, and when you can point out waste that ought not to be, I think people ought to do it, but to be able to come together to have take care of the needs, not necessarily all the wants, but hopefully the needs, not to have a tax increase, there's not that much to argue about.
That's right, and fight for what you believe in. We've got commissioners on there that will do that, but don't fight to the death. Because the person you fight with on this issue may be the person you need on the next issue to get the 13 votes. So, do what you need to on the floor, argue your positions, stress your position, but when it's over with, go home, get a good night's sleep, and there'll be other issues to deal with down the road. And, they say politics makes strange bedfellows, and it does, even on a local level.
Yeah.
But this is a good commission, I think.
And that reminds me of George Harding. We always have to go back to him from time to time. George is always talking about you're not going to get anything done if you can't count to 13, meaning you got to have 13 votes to get anything passed on the county commission.
Heard him say it probably 100 times, They better learn to count to 13.
Mike, usually we have a minute or two, and I've got 3 right now. We might could talk about Watertown. Anything exciting there? I know the Jazz Festival's coming up. John Jewell will be back to talk about that. That's I think it's a Saturday after the 4th of July. But what else is going on?
Well, we've got that Coleman. And John and his cohorts are working very hard on that. Our budget has passed first reading, and second reading on ours will be June 29th. It has no tax increase, no water and sewer rate increase either. But we've got some big projects coming down the road that are going to require more money in next 12 to 18 months. But I think we've got a good solid budget. We provided some increases for our employees. Not as much as they want, not as much as they deserve, but I'm trying to get them there as best I can. I've got some people that have worked a lot of years for me. They've been very loyal to the city, and I try to take care of them as best I can. But Coleman, we found out the other day we got a grant of $929,000 to help us do some work in our water. You don't hear much. Most of the time we're talking about sewer, but it helps us do some work in our water. And then we've got the street paving project and the sewer project that hopefully are nearing the time when we'll bid them. So there's going to be a lot going on in our community the next year, and looking forward to it. This is a real challenge.
Well, what's gonna
say something that occurred in our planning commission last Tuesday. We have our own planning commission, and we used to meet 3 or 4 times a year as needed. And most of the time, it was divide one lot into 2, or parents wanting to divide off a lot to give the child to build a home. But we had 2 things on the agenda. One was for 32 townhomes, and the other was for 26 townhomes.
Oh, wow.
So the growth is coming our way, and as I told the people the other night as we were adjourning, we've got 660-something water customers. That's almost 10% more when you add 58 on there. And if you look at it on streets, of course, they're not on the street, but that's 2 streets in Watertown, 58 houses. That's a major change for us, and there's more coming.
All right, we've come to the end of our time here. Appreciate you being with us this morning. Have a good conference, and I know you're going to be happy if the Volunteers keep winning. I'll put it like that.
Yeah, I hope they can do it tonight without me. I've got a commitment tonight, and they're playing tonight. I thought they were going to play this afternoon, but they're playing tonight, so may not get to see it, but as my buddy said, stay away. Maybe it'll work even better.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and we'll see you hopefully live in studio next time.
We'll plan on it. Thanks.
Mike Jennings, our county attorney, and Coleman and Company for Tuesday. Join us tomorrow. Till then, I wish you a terrific day.